Hello, hello, and welcome to the Weeder Life podcast. I'm your host, Erica Weederlight, and I am the CEO and founder of We the Light. I help humans who feel inadequate, broken, self-conscious, and shamed around their sexuality to reclaim their aliveness, their power, and to have a renewed relationship to pleasure while preparing themselves to feel hella confident to date others and themselves. AKA, I'm guiding people to live their #best lives. I have to give you a fair warning. I do unfortunately swear like a drunken sailor, so if you do have little ones by you, just be sure to pop in some earbuds. All right, friends, let's buckle up and let's rock it to this week's episode. Ooh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Hey, ooh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Hey, giving and receiving, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. Yeah, I feel like because giving and receiving, what is it? Oh, sharing is caring. This gives me a little sharing is caring vibes. Obviously extremely different. Well, actually. We'll get into it. But I just feel like, get into it in a second. But like, isn't it so funny that something that is sharing is caring, giving and receiving, that's something that's like so, in a way, elementary, like we're taught as kids, like we didn't really like get into it. You know what I mean? Like, I know we talk about this a lot, like, hello, like, the system is broke, like no joke. Like the system is broken. Like why are we not taught how to do our taxes? Like why are we taught how to do fucking? I was gonna say a mathematic thing, but I don't know. I didn't get that far. Like like why are we not taught basic human skills? Like genuinely like taxes, like how to write a check. I mean, I know like I'm real old school about how to write a check. You're like, what the fuck, Erica? Use Venmo. I do both, okay? But like how to do these human things. And I would like to argue, in addition to like paying the taxes or doing the, business things that we need to do to function, like why are we like, can we go a little bit deeper into, and I know there's some amazing educators and teachers and change makers that are trying to, change the system. So #God bless you and hashtag thank you. Like seriously, thank you for shaking shit up and really serving students and people to be the best them. So like I know I got some fabulous educators that listen to this pod, and I genuinely want to say thank you. I wish I had you as a teacher when I was growing up, but we can get into that another day. But like in addition to, like I said, like the business things like taxes and more logistical things, how to start a business or whatever, like human things, like sharing is caring, giving and receiving, feeling my feelings. So again, this is why I do want to shout out amazing educators, amazing people that do stand for this work. But going back to where I originally started is, it's so funny, right? Like we know like giving and receiving, yeah. But then it's like, well, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what does that actually mean? Like, in ways it feels very transactional. Like, I'm going to give and then I will receive. It's like, wait, hold on. There's such a richer world underneath this topic that we kind of sleep on. And for me, when I started like the walking, doing the dance into the spiritual community, it was very like receive from the universe. And I was like, God bless, but oh my gosh, this is bringing up shit for me, like worthiness. And then I kept going into the more self-empowerment world. And it really taught me about deep receiving, right? About like, oh, I put up, and we'll get into this in a second. Okay, yeah, let's fucking go into it. But I struggle with receiving because of worthiness, because of deservingness, because of cultural stories, because it feels wrong, bad, shameful to take, or whatever. So I wanted to start, this may be more than one conversation, it may be, we'll see where it goes, but I wanted to go back to the basics here and like redefine our relationship to giving and receiving. Because it feels, I don't know, for me, a lot of folks can hold on to some like elementary, go with me on this, like elementary level of giving and receiving. And that's not from like a mean or judgy place. It's we fucking deserve to receive more. And we deserve to give. And it would, especially in these times, to give more, but not from a depleted martyr way. Does that make sense? We're going to get into it, but let's start with receiving because, changing shit up. I'm most triggered around receiving. Like I could fucking give for days. So I'm like, but I give from a weird toxic place that we'll talk about in a second. But I was like, you know what? I was going to make this whole podcast about receiving. And then I was like, you know what? Let's also pepper in like healthy giving. So the conversation that I really want to get into today is healthy giving, healthy receiving, healthy doing the dance with others, yourself, all the things. So first off, I want to talk about, I think we talked about this last week, right? I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell you about my birthday. Well, I don't know about you. Like, can you tell, like, I'm a year older? Like, do I seem so much more sophisticated? I mean, here she is. But here I am, a year older, which is fucking crazy. But living loving for, another year. God bless. In all seriousness, God bless. Thank you that I'm here for another year to tickle in your ear absurdities. And I'm very grateful. And in addition, I was very fucking grateful for my birthday. And it triggered some light, like old, like I feel, like the hair on the back of your neck receiving, like some old buddies of mine came out. So let me tell you a little tale of my birthday. So I am extremely ritualistic to a fault sometimes, like like a little bit to a fault. Like I'm working on it, but where I'm like, this has to be perfect because it's manifesting, and like I'm so not, like, as you could tell, like so not that person, but I can get a little bit it's like my anxiety underneath the surface. It's like my inner perfectionist, it's my anxiety, it's my, so there's a little bit of a perfectionist. So with my birthday, I'm like, oh baby, oh yeah. Like I'm very weird with my birthday, and I'm very weird with, I'm not even like, I don't feel so called for New Year's, but like kind of like I'm very mindful of like the next few days, not from like perfect fit fam. Hashtag clean eats, like not from that place, but from like what am I cultivating this year? So I brag, at least it's not from like a totally fucking toxic place. But like I'm very specific about my birthday. I'm very ritualistic about my birthday. I'm like, I want to see a lot of different friends. I want to cultivate a lot of magic. Like there's lots of things, and I'm even thinking about it now. I'm like, there's some rituals I want to do that there's still some left in me to celebrate this year. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. I still have a little bit more celebrations this weekend. So like I'm still in celebratory mode, not in like full like, oh yeah, like I'm not like in full. You're like, what the fuck is oh yeah? I'm not in full hum-diddy-hum, which hum-diddy-hum is what am I manifesting? What am I creating? Right now I'm still like in party mode. Like, I have to tell you a little secret. Well, it's not really a secret, but I have to tell you a little fun fact. This weekend I'm celebrating with with Gaga. Yes. So I can't wait. So like I'm still in like, yeah, let's eat the macaroons and have a party. But then I'll get into manifesting mode. My ADD is all over the place because I also wanted to tell you, did you know macaroons are macarons? Macaroons. I was on TikTok, LOL, and I was like, how to make macaroons. I'm like very obsessed with macaroons. And they're like, these macarons. And I was like, oh no. So that's just a sidebar that I've recently become disturbed about. And I know I'm absolutely butchering so many words, but it was a little lost for me. Okay, transitioning. Here we are. Hi, I'm still a successful human with ADD. It's still possible. We're still free flowing and doing the things. So, right, birthday, we're live, laugh, loving. We're going to Lady Gaga. But earlier this week, I should say, was my actual birthday. Very ritualistic. I love the things. I love making it special. And it was fab. I'll give you like the quick overview. So it was fab. Starbucks treated me to a free drink. Thank you. So I got my iced chai latte. I was like, God bless. And then I met with my amazing friend who is an awesome reader and it was just amazing reading. And she was so kind in gifting me a 2-hour session, which was just absolutely so generous. And then, and I'll tell you in a second about the details. So I was like, oh my gosh, like my heart was already like, whoo, whoo. And does this ever happen to you? On your birthday, it's like, oh my God, this is sometimes overwhelming, where it's like 360, no, I'm making something up, but like, it's so cool that like all these people are ready, even if they're not texting you or not like putting on your Facebook or Instagram, or it's just like, oh my gosh, like a flood of receiving, which is like, it can feel so good, ... And I noticed, even in myself, someone that practices this all the time, I was a crankety little bitch, crankety little bitch the next day. Because I think I was in such expansion, like, whoa, 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 like I'm in receiving mode. And then it was a little bit too much for me. It was just I didn't have the tools, the technology to hold myself and like, yeah, this feels good. So the next day I kind of, and all good, all Gucci gang, we're not going to be mad at ourselves. But like I went into contraction because I was like, oh, that was like a little bit too much to hold. And it was a little bit undigested and I became a little cranky. We'll talk about in a second and why that happens and how we can get out of that. But so we're back to the birthday. We're live, laugh, loving. I'm like, yes, honey. I'm doing my thing. I'm laughing. I'm loving. And then, and I'll, if you want, I'll get into logistics. But I told one of my friends, I'd love to see you on my birthday. And she's like, yeah. And I don't know how this happened, but I was like, I'd love to, see people. And what happened, and we had a little bit of a miscommunication, you could say. But she was asking, oh, who do you want to invite? Like, who else would you want to invite? And my anxiety brain, how cute is that, was like, oh, no one could come. And then we talked about it later, and it was just perfect because in my brain, I thought no one was coming. And in her brain, she planned a whole fucking party for me. Can we discuss? So, like, let me give you the story. Okay, let me give you the story. So because it's a fun one. And I told one of my friends and clients, she's like, what did you do for your birthday? And I told her, and she was like, oh my. She's like, that is the most Erica Weeder-like birthday I've ever heard. I'm like, really? I'm like, why? She's like, it's just so on brand. So I was like, all right, God bless. I love the brand. I'll take it. So we're living off of that iced chai latte. We had a fabulous reading with an amazing friend. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm feeling And then into the city I went, and the city I mean is New York City. And I met one of my closest and dearest friends, and we got a little tea, we chit-chatted, we caught up, we did the things. And then, okay, I have to tell you how fabulous this is. So my friend was like, my other friend that planned this was like, I'm not telling you any detail. Oh, that's how it happened. I was like, oh my goodness. So she's like, meet here at this time. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And she's like, so she told me where to meet and what to bring. And I was like, oh my goodness, I love surprises, but I'm also having anxiety. So I met with my first friend. We're live, laugh, loving. We're having tea. Yes. We're catching up. And then, okay, the text, meet at this place at 5 p.m. And I was like, where are we going? And it was so exciting. And we met, and it was this gorgeous rooftop, and me and this other friend were talking about it. Freaking gorgeous. And I've been to 4 million fucking rooftops in New York City, and this one slapped, honey. Slapped. It had the pool, it had the views. Oh my gosh. And what a good friend. She had a club soda with lime awaiting. She knows me best. She knows I need that club. I need that the sparkles, the bubbles to burn my throat. I was like, yes. So we were there for a little bit. We took some pics. And then she's like, okay, we got to go. I was like, oh, okay. And like, they didn't want to tell me and anything. So we're just like walking, and I'm like, what's happening? And they're like, yeah, like it was great to see. Like, I was like, oh, is it over? I mean, that was still great. Like, but okay, great. And we're walking. And then my friend turns to me and goes, it's time. And I'm like, oh, what time is it? And she puts a blindfold on me. And my first thought was, oh, I'm definitely going to be in either overheard New York, or like I'm going to be on Subway Creatures. Like, why is this woman wearing a blindfold around New York City, but here I was. And it was, let me tell you, the sensations were wild. So they blindfolded me, they're leading me through, and people are like, happy birthday, like in my ear. And I'm like, I'm sweating through my clothes. I was like, the trust of this is wild. So I'm sweating through my clothes, but I'm like, this is wild, but walking through the city, da, 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 da. And then they're like, okay, you're going to walk into this building. I'm like, okay, here's a fun fact. I found this out later, that they got a text that someone's like, we need 5 to 10 more minutes, but I was already blindfolded, and they were like, fuck. But I didn't know this, so they were like, fuck, what do we do? Because I was already in the building, so if I took the blindfold off, I would know where I was. So they were like, fuck. And I just was like, dee, like, what's happening? And they were like, all right, Erica. Improv. God bless. Improv. Here we go. All right, Erica. You are now in the portion of your birthday that is the ASMR section. I was like, this is so specific. And so they're like, here you go. And so I was standing still, and they were putting the I would reach for sounds, but I'm not going to do a full fucking ASMR session right now. And they were reaching like for bags and like they brought my friend Steph brought a huge bag, and she was rifling through like plastic bags, and they were making sounds, and then they were going around my head with different alarms and different volumes, and then they were touching my shoulders. I was like, what? Honestly, I was like, I can't believe you improv that, because it actually was like a full fucking session, like a full ASMR. I was like, wow, I'm deeply in it. So like, thank you. So like, that was an improv LOL fucking moment. And I'd be like, oh my God, I'm dying. And they're like, I'm dying. I was like, so like, what kind of friends can you have? How lucky am I that those are my friends that are willing to blindfold me and do ASMR to me in the middle of the city. Like, you know, in the middle of a lobby where people are going and leaving work. Also, could we just like stop and pause for that visual? Like, there's more, but like, could we just fucking stop and pause? Like, my ass, sweating my ass off, and you know how fucking loud I am, like cackling, being like, what's happening? And then like these two women giving me full ASMR in a lobby. Like, that visual is so fucking LOL. And I was like, wow, what's happening? And they're like around my body. So great friends I have. Truly, honestly, truly fucking blessed. And so we go on the elevator, and Steph, meanwhile, I'm blindfolded. And I'm like, oh, I hear new voices. And Steph was like, she saw friends, and she's like, she doesn't know where she's going, so don't say anything, you know, whatever. So we were up the elevator. I'm like, where the fuck am I? And then we walk, They're like, walk out. I'm like, okay, here we go, I'm walking. Boom, door closed, blindfold off. And I can't do math. I probably should have prepped for this. But it's some of my nearest and dearest friends that I've done through this program. And this program was, I did a lot of work through, well, one of my friends that I saw, Carla. Hi, Carla. I have worked with her. We were talking about it at my birthday. I was like, holy shit, Carla, I've known you for so many years. And we've done so many dances together. Like, at one point she was helping me through hypnosis with my anxiety, and also cultivating a partner. Hello. But I worked and going through like really deep fucking old trauma. So Carla was my hypnotherapist for years. And then she was the person I called when I was like, should I do Mama Gina's? Because I saw her. I was like, hey, I saw you in the program, like, or the brochure. Oh my God, am I fucking 85? But I was like, should I do Mama Gina's? And then she was there for hypnotherapy. She was there for Mama Gina. She was there for S Factor. She was my S Factor teacher for a while. So long story short, I'm like, these are people that I do a lot of my personal development work with, you know, like, because I need to do this work to be able to, for myself, to overflow. I hate when coaches are like people that facilitate this work, like, God bless, we're all on our own journey, but I'm like, I know I need to consistently do the work all the time. So I'm showing up in fullness, which we'll talk about with giving. But anyway, so I'm seeing all of these amazing friends that, like Carla, Sarah Jane. Remember Sarah Jane from our 2 episodes? Sarah Jane was there. All these amazing humans came out. And I was like, oh my God, like, what the fuck? I thought no one could come, you know? And I was like, this is fucking amazing. And we were in a new studio. If you want to check it out, it's Polarity Palace. and it's sensual movement classes, and it was just fabulous. So I was like, holy shit. Carla led an amazing S Factor class. And then we moved into some tools that we practiced with our other work together. So like, we'll talk about this in a second, like word baths, compliments, different touch. We pulled angel cards, like all the things that were just holy shit. And the cool thing is at the end, I saw people that I've been doing S Factor classes with for years. And then in addition, I'm like, oh my God, I was doing virtual class with you online. So like, I was just... rainbows and butterflies were truly coming out of every orifice of my body. I was like, hey, do you ever feel like I was like fucking psyched. And then I was like, wow, like that was unbelievable. Like I said, we did an awesome S Factor class. They were so generous, and we did word baths. I'll talk about that in a second. They gave me word baths and pull card for me and do wishes and all this. Like, I'm like, oh my God. And then I was like, wow, what a wonderful day. And they're like, there's one more stop. I'm like, oh my God. And my friend Christina knows me so well because she knows I love a good Italian. So we ended at Italy, thank fucking God. And we did the rooftop dinner at Italy, and it was fabulous. We all chit-chatted, we lived, laughed, loved. And then we did the tools, right? Like the tools I talk about here. We did brags, we did desires. Then we did an exercise, and we're actually going to talk about it in next week's episode. We did an exercise called hot seating. So like, I'm like, how cool is this that we could practice the tools? So we did they did a hot seat on me. And it was magical. And then at the end, they said, we have one more gift for you. I'm like, oh my God. And they gave me this beautiful satchel, this beautiful bag. And they said, you can't, so I don't know if you know this. But hey, I'm about to tell you a life update. So I'm moving, and so this was kind of like a birthday, a see you later party. And so they gave me the satchel, and they said, you can't open it now. You can only open it when you arrive and in times of struggle and need. And I was like, oh my gosh. And they said inside, I don't really know what's inside of it, but they said inside are like 35 different inspirations, desires they have for me, words of wisdom. They said, when you're there and when you're struggling, we want you to go into the bag and pull out a card or a piece of paper that we wrote inspiration for you. And they said, you can only pick one at a time. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Are these the best people on the planet? I remember I told my sister, and she was like, oh my God. She's like, that is literally like, that is unbelievable. And so I can go on and on about the day, but I think you got the gist. First of all, there's so much I have to say, but first of all, I am so fucking grateful. Period. There's no more to say. There is more to say, but like point blank, I am so fucking grateful. Boom, mic drop. Second, and we could go into this another time. This is not as important. Well, actually, it is kind of important with the giving and receiving conversation. We'll get there in a second. But I celebrate, and I'm not going to spend too long in here because there's some more juice I want to go to. I celebrate that I fight for my friendships. I celebrate that I give from a place. Sometimes it's crunchy, and I have to work on it. But I give from a place of overflow. And so I'm so grateful that I was beyond fucking met in this. And people were like, oh, I wish I could have that. And I'm like, I know, I'm so lucky. And I also worked really hard at cultivating these relationships. Here's the thing. I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. Sometimes you could work really hard or, be a great friend and it's not received. So I don't want to say like, you could just do this and you get this. That's not what I'm saying. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not, that 1 + 1 equals, I was going to say 1 + 2 = 1. Like, Erica, what? 1 + 1 = 2. It's not as cut and dry. But there is a connection to my giving to the receiving, but we'll get there in a second. What I wanted to say was, holy shit, how lucky was I that these amazing people stopped their day to celebrate me in such a grand way, in such a beautiful way. And it was I remember at one point we were doing like a chair exercise and I was laying in the chair and they're giving, compliments and, they're saying, what type of, touch do you want? Like, do you want like a nice feather on your face while we give you a compliment? Or do you want someone to touch your hair? And I was like, this is so fucking funny. I'm literally looking at a picture of her right now because she's in one of my books. But I literally was like, I feel like fucking Cleopatra. I'm like, God bless. Like, that is true, God bless. I'm like, oh my God, this feels great. And then I was rubbing up against, there was a creepy crawly edge where I'm like, this is too much. This is too much. This is too much. This is too much. I don't deserve this. I'm not. So I saw myself be like, fuck yeah, tell me all the compliments, and then I was like, oh no, like, oh my God, these people took out of their busy day and I want to make sure that they're okay. Like, how about like the impulse that I wanted was like, how about we do this to so-and-so and how about we all make sure and like, I just was like, I just want to make sure everyone's okay. Like, and so I saw the inner, like, I rubbed up against an interesting edge where I wanted to which there's nothing wrong with this. This is a very nice thing that I wanted to make sure everyone was taken care of. Please know where I'm going with this. But it was like too much attention. It was too much goodness where I wanted to like, burn it all down. And I've talked about this before, but there's some exercises that I was taught when I went through a lot of my trainings. And instead of, right, because so often when we receive, and we've talked about this before, right, like when pretend someone's like, oh, I love your shirt. So often it's hard to say, thank you so much, thank you, and just sit in it. We so often, I know I always like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even realize I'm doing it. I'm like, oh my God, I got it on sale though. Or like, I'm like, thank you. I love your earrings. Like, oh, like that could be true, but can we take a fucking beat, right? Like, can it be like, I love your shirt. Thank you so much. Beat. And if you genuinely feel inclined to say, hey, I love your earrings too, great. But I knew for me, sometimes it was genuine, but it was like a, like I feel bad thing. Like there's a I feel bad narrative under the surface of receiving. So I had to make sure they were taken care of. And are they okay? And are they celebrated? It's like, oh. So sitting in the thank you and not thank you, beat, and not saying, not discrediting it. It's on sale, it's nothing. Or, well, what about you? And like immediately throwing it onto them. Like sitting with receiving. And so this amazing birthday party, I was getting like the scratchies of like, oh, but what about you? But what about you? Like I want to give to you. And so I just want us to be like mindful of that. And here's another thing. If you really do struggle with receiving, I know you're like, shut up, but it is true. If you really want to be of service to, I'll say this, another way to be of service to others is to receive. I know for a long time, because I was in the push away mode, like push away the receiving, push away when people give me things. Like I kept pushing away. And it actually caused like tensions in some of my relationships. And I had a great friend come to me and she said, I feel like, I don't know if it's just, I'm taking it personal and I don't know if it's just with me, but I feel like you're not letting me see you because you're not letting me give to you because you keep pushing away. She's like, and maybe that's a receiving thing. She's like, but I'm taking it personally and it's making me feel weird then when you give. She's like, so it's just adding a weird dynamic. And once I like that out and allowed myself to receive, we could free flow in our relationship so much better. Like we had more, like there was no stickiness. There was no weirdness. It just felt more unity versus like, no, little old me, not me. It's like, can you fucking stop? Like, I don't want to waste my energy always being like, no, you're great. You deserve it. So not only is receiving from a healthy place, right? Not like, I'm going to receive all the things, you fuckers, and not give, but receiving from a healthy place can usually gift the other person. And I know I hate it too. When I like give someone a gift and they're like, they fucking go on for, and I do this too. So it's like, Erica, cut the shit. But when they go on and on, no, it's like, stop, I got it. So fucking take it, like, Please enjoy it. You're hurting my feelings. Can you tell the inner, I'm like, stop, like the little inner Italian. I'm like, take the fucking gift, but like, take the fucking gift, if they want to give it. And you rob people when when you're like, no, little old me. And I know I hate that because I'm like, no, I got so much joy getting this gift for you. Like, I got so much joy. So you being like, no. I'm like, no, I know what I signed up for. I know what I could give. Please just enjoy it. So receiving in a healthy way can also be a gift and could be also a powerful way to give to others. Look at us interchanging. I want to talk about tools that we can start to I want to start to talk about tools that we can start to implement ASAP on the receiving end. Fair? So we're going to go into that in a second. But before we do, I gotta give my little baby pitch. The baby pitch is as such. Working with me, we work on a fucking array of things. My clients could say, like, we go back and forth in Voxer. Sometimes it's love, sometimes it's giving and receiving, sometimes it's dating, sometimes it's body confidence, sometimes it's I'm stressed at work. Yes, I do focus in on confidence and sexual empowerment and dating and love, but you know the deal. Everything is so fucking interconnected. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like there's one subsection that's just sexuality and there's one subsection that's confidence. Like, all of this shit is interconnected. And when you start to do deep work on it, it all comes to the surface. And so for me, I love being able to hold people in their allness, in their fullness, and everything that they're bringing to the table. And we will talk about all of the things, such as giving and receiving, knowing that you're worthy and deserving of having good things. So let's talk about freebies, because you're worthy and deserving of having good things, aka some of my free goodies. So obviously you're here right now, so you know the podcast. Live, laugh, love it. Enjoy it, binge it, do the things. Always feel free if you want to DM me and say, hey, can you talk about this? Of course I can. Let's do it. So you know this free resource. I also have a blog, which is like entertaining, because it's like, imagine this writing. So you're like, oh, I will not win a Nobel Peace Prize, but I am entertaining and I think I give good content. I try to at least put some tools in my writing. I'd have some fuck it, Erica. I have a lot of inspiration in my writing. So the blog is pretty hot. So the blog, the podcast, a book, and the book is, let me redo that. Nice. So the book, the ebook is From Perfectionist to Pleasure Expert. God bless. It's super short. It's like 40-something pages, and it gives you tools, potent tools to start implementing ASAP. You get that emailed to you. And those are all on the website, right? So the podcast, the blog, the ebook, all on the website, www.wethelight.org. Go, get the free goods. And here's my big fucking kahuna, right? Like those are the emeralds, those are the rubies. And this offering that I'm going to share with you right now is like the big gem, like the big dog. I'm trying to think, what was the, oh man, what was that diamond? Like the bluestone diamond? No. I'm thinking of Mary-Kate and Ashley, the moons. Did you watch that when you were a kid, Mary-Kate and Ashley Halloween, when they're like, the moonstone? So you know what? This will be this is not where I was going, but this will be the moonstone of my offerings. So my moonstone free offering is, you've heard me talk about it a million times because it's really fucking good, is my free consultation, my free call, whatever you want to call it. And what we do is we get on the phone, we talk about a few things, I may give you a few tools, and then we see if we're a match to work one-on-one together. God bless. No harm, no foul. If you're like, you know what, love ya, but you're not my vibe, all Gucci gang. Or if you're like, can you give me a recommendation? Absolutely. But that is my moonstone of offerings, because that you have one-on-one time with me. It's up to an hour where you can ask questions, you can have support, you can be held. It is the creme de la creme. So get the things, all the free things, if whatever resonates to you. Like I said, on the website, you can get the moonstone, which is the call. You can get the ebook, you can get the blog, you can get all of it, you can get none of it. But that is an available resource to you, which I would definitely suggest in taking up. All right. So let's talk tool time. Let's talk tools. So some tools are getting good at receiving. And so I would suggest getting a group of friends or a friend or an accountability buddy. And if you need help finding an accountability buddy, I got you. I'm here for you. I know sometimes when we enter this world that we could be alone and we're like, oh my gosh, how do I even start a community? So if you need that, I got you. If you don't, great. I want you to grab a friend, an accountability buddy. And I know I talked briefly about my birthday and some of the exercises we did, and you might have been like, what the fuck is that? And one of them is called a word bath. And a lot of the women and the women and me, I was on a podcast the other day and someone corrected me. They're like, you said it wrong. And I was like, but I like don't remember what the correction was. So like Erica. We all did Mama Gina, School of the Womanly Arts together. So, and Mama Gina, one of the tools that she teaches is called a word bath. And essentially what it is you are, a person is, you highlighted in a way. This could be in person or it could be on Zoom or a call. We give all of our attention to that one person. And I know some of my clients, we've done this before on our, I've done this one-on-one with my clients, but also in group. We've done this too, like on Zoom, having people highlighted and us do a word bath. So you are highlighted, and what we do is it could be with one person, it could be a few. We bathe you in compliments. We bathe you, and instead of, sometimes where it's like, where it gets too much and you're like, I'm in shutdown, good night. So this exercise is an opportunity to, I'm triggered as fuck, but I'm going to breathe into this. And you know what? I'm telling you this right now, and you might be like, Erica, that's like super basic and simple. Let me tell you, when you're in a room and people are giving it to you, it's really easy to dissociate, to go blank and be like, I'm dissociating and leaving my body because this is too much. Make sense? So again, sounds super easy, but when you're getting relentless compliments, it's like, oh my gosh, like I have to hold the bandwidth of holding all of these compliments. So when people, and this could be compliments, you could ask specific, like, can you give me physical compliments? Can you give me, compliments about me as a person? And what I want you to do, like I said, is just to breathe into it and receive it. And here's the thing, right? Like, and I talked about this in my mirror exercise that we do, like give yourself 3 compliments. After a while, you're like, yeah, I told myself 6,000 times I like my eyebrows. Now what? Here's the thing. I want you to then go deeper into that invitation. So what I mean is like, put on childlike curiosity glasses, right? And oh my gosh, I love the little extra hair my left eyebrow curves. Like, I want us to get so specific, like looking at ourselves like we are a piece of art. Instead of wrongness, badness, I want us to put on glasses like we are in an art gallery and you're like, oh my God, how fabulous. Oh, how fabulous that the skin folds so gorgeously. Like I want us to be dramatic AF, but we need to get there because otherwise it's like, oh, this is wrong, this is bad. I want us to put on our drama. It could be a lens of a little kid that's like, oh my gosh, I love her stomach is so soft. Or it could be, you can put your art gallery eyes on of, oh my, look at the splattering of freckles. But I want us to look at it through not the lens that we're in. And so that's when we do that mirror exercise. If you haven't heard me say this before, it's a mirror exercise. Every time you pass the mirror, you give yourself 3 compliments. Also, receive it. Great. I need to take a breath for that. The word bath is allowing others to compliment you. And they can get broad, like, I love your personality. I love that you're funny. I love your hair. Or they can go super specific if you're working through certain stuff. Like, okay, I need help around some body stuff. Like, they can go micro, then they can go micro step it and say, I love how gorgeous your hair is tucked behind your left ear. It's so gorgeous and free-flowing. I love cute and how round your toes are. Like, it could be so micro, so it doesn't have to be like, you're hot. Like, we can go into, you're hot. But it also could be micro stepping and finding the gorgeous gemstones, the gorgeous nuggets within. Make sense? So, I know you might be like, what the fuck? Like, can I really ask a friend to do this? Have them listen to this podcast. Have them talk to me. If you're like, hey, help us set this mini pod up, I'm happy to do that. But it's really powerful. It's really powerful because we start to see ourselves through the lens of others people's positive. I remember when I was doing these exercises, I was really struggling. I was coming out of between us, here it is on air, but between us, I was really struggling with like an eating disorder. And so I saw myself in the most fucked, distorted way possible. And I'm not saying that from a judgment, but I saw myself so not as I was, and just with such harshness. And so this exercise, obviously it helped me, but like they found such micro things and I'm like, really? Like I didn't even think of that. And that helped me boost and bring my confidence so up by being in celebration in community. So that's one exercise. Another exercise is that you could try on with a friend or an accountability buddy is just saying thank you. So maybe you just want to get on the call for a minute, and I want you to relentlessly give each other compliments. So it's almost like a word bath one-on-one. And instead of, oh no, I just want you to sit there and say thank you. Thank you. A Mama Gina thing that she does is thank you. It's true. So that's something to play with too if you really want to go for extra credit. And it's not like you're saying that you can say that in the streets, that would be hot, but like you're saying this with a dear friend or accountability buddy. So it's okay to say thank you. It's true. So a little example of how that would work is pretend, me and Sally went by the seashore, but me and Sally are doing this. We said, okay, we have 4 minutes to do this exercise. We have 4 minutes in our day. Okay, Erica, you take 2 minutes. Sally, you take 2 minutes. Great. So Sally's like, Erica, I love your humor. I love this about you. I'm going to frame this about you. Like, and instead of me being like, oh, fuck, I'm going to breathe and say, thank you. It's true. Okay, Erica, or let me switch it to Sally. How could I forget Sally? So I'm going to switch it to Sally and say, Sally, I love your beautiful, luscious lips. And she's, instead of being like, oh, Erica, she'll be like, thank you. And she might be like, what the fuck? But thank you. It's true. Sally, I love how you bring your heart and your mission to your work. And instead of her fighting it, she says, thank you. It's true. Sally, I want to highlight that you are on this call with me and it takes guts. And I want to frame your courageousness and you're willing to always show up for yourself. She says, thank you, it's true. Does that make sense? So instead of like, throwing it off, throwing the compliments off, I want us to deeply breathe, take it in, and receive. Cool? I think I'm going to tease you. Because as I planned for this episode, I originally planned for giving and receiving. And then I said, no. Or I lied. I originally planned for receiving. And I said, no, I have to do giving and receiving. And then I felt into my body and I said, no, it needs to be 2 separate episodes. And then there was my mind, right? My ego was like, no, make it all one so they get the juice. And I'm like, you know what? No. I want to leave it at this note because I know for me, if I was given the opportunity, what are you going to extract from this episode? Is it giving or receiving? I would go in the giving camp. I would be like, oh, yeah, receiving's nice anyway. Anyway. So I'm going to lovingly tease you because I would love for you to actually start to implement these tools. So I know you're like, you little shit. And I'm like, yes, I am. So I'm going to give us a week. I'll be back next week. And we're going to talk about giving next week. Because I know I don't want to muddle just bop, talking at you and it feeling overwhelming. So let's take a pause. And let's just soak in the receiving vibes. How about that? How badass is that? Instead of, let's talk about receiving. But at the end, make sure you give. Like, no, I'm going to take a stand for all of us. And don't worry, we're going to talk about healthy giving next week. But I'm going to take a stand for all of us that we're going to, for a week, this is your homework, to really allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to receive from others. Allow, if you believe in the universe and you find $1, allow yourself to be, receive from the universe. Allow yourself to receive from yourself, right? And what I mean by that is so often, when we think of, well, we could talk about self-care for a whole fucking episode. But where it's like, oh, I have to shower and I have to do my skincare and da da da. And so often we slap on the lotion, or boom, we slap on the shampoo. And I'm not saying let's do a 45-hour fucking ritual, like, which God bless, but like, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, what would it be like to receive from yourself? Boom, mic drop. So instead of, here I go, slap on the moisturizer, slap on the shit, what would it be like to be like, okay, I still have the same amount of time, but instead of me slapping on the moisturizer, I'm really going to feel it. I'm going to gift that to myself. I'm going to give that love to myself. And what would it feel like to actually receive love from yourself? We struggle so often with receiving from others and from the universe or from wherever, family, friends, but we really can struggle with ourselves because so often we don't feel worthy. We don't feel good enough. It just doesn't feel, I don't know. For me, there's different stories. We all have different stories. But for me, it feels like I feel bad. I don't want to be looked at as greedy. I don't want to be looked at as too much. I want to push it away. No, I want to be looked at like I'm the giver. Ooh, there's so many sticky stories. So some ways to work through that is obviously working through our worth, working through that we're worthy and deserving of getting good things, working through, I'm a good person and I can still receive. Like it doesn't mean I'm hellish and I'm going to be cast away, so that's some things for us to work on. But some ways to do that is actually giving to ourselves, right? Like actually giving to ourselves. What would it be like instead of, I just ordered Uber Eats, thank God. And instead of just slamming it back, I'm going to take a pause and put this food on a plate instead of just like shoveling it in. Because I want to give to myself. I want to gift to myself. And again, we could talk, I'm so glad we made this just about receiving. Now we can go into the juice. But there can be a toxic story about like treat yourself, which I'm like, yes, treat yourself. But like there could be like a toxic, like treat yourself, put yourself into horrible financial distress, and just treat yourself, YOLO. I'm like, oh, like that is a toxic story we have to work through too. I'm not saying go give yourself 45 designer bags. If you want to, I support you. Send me pics. I can't wait to see. What I'm saying is micro moments. How can we give to ourselves? And how can we, here's the thing, because we could talk about that next time, how can we actually receive it? How can we receive it? So often I'm like, I want to make these elaborate events. I want to make these elaborate things for others. But for me, just throw back the McDonald's, throw it back from the Uber Eats. No, what would it be like to gift to myself and to actually receive? To actually receive that time for myself. Instead of me, I'm going to stay up till 2 a.m. and scrolling. Again, we're not going to make that wrong. But how can I gift myself? You know how I can gift myself? I can gift myself by maybe listening to some meditation music and choosing something better. Or choosing something better sounds so aggressive, but like more supportive. And am I willing to receive that? Am I willing to know I'm worthy and deserving of receiving goodness from myself, from others? I'm like, shit, like I know we need to talk about giving, but I'm also like, I think we need a part 2 with receiving. But I want to do some highlights. I want to do some frames before we go. So there's a few things, right? I'm thinking about what we talked about. We talked all over the place. Word baths. Also, here's the thing. You could do word baths with yourself, which is great. So you could do it with an accountability buddy. You could do it with a friend, or you could also do it with yourself. Instead of being like, oh, fuck, I look so bad. Like, ooh, oh, look, how beautiful. So there's many ways we could do this. So let's frame word bath, whether it's with yourself, with others, with friends, with accountability buddy. There is, what else did we talk about? We talked about the mirror exercise. We talked about thank you, beat, or alternatively, thank you, it's true. We talked about why our stickies sometimes come up when receiving happens. It feels too much. We don't want to be looked at as gross. We don't want to be looked at as selfish. We don't feel worthy and deserving of it. There's many stories which I'm kind of feeling into like, ooh, there might be a part 2. What else did we talk about? And we talked about, lastly, how can we give, and we'll talk about that next week, really, but how can we receive from ourselves. Like, like I said, instead of slapping on the lotion, how can I genuinely, how can I receive this touch that I am gifting myself? What a gorgeous gift. And how when we talk about that in love, like how empowering is that? Instead of feeling like we need so much from other people, it's cherries on top, right? Because if we're consistently gifting to ourselves and we're receiving like, oh man, hello, baby boo, I'm receiving this touch, or I'm receiving this compliment, or I'm receiving that instead of throwing the fries back, you put it in a nice plate. I'm receiving that. I don't become as needy. I hate the word needy, but go with me on this. Needy, or like drawing people's energy because I feel fucking depleted. Does that make sense? So when we can gift to ourselves and more importantly, receive from ourselves, and this is actually a perfect segue into next week, we are filled up. Got it? We are filled up. We feel like, ooh, I feel full. I'm like, oh shit, oh my God, I can't wait to talk about next week. It's going to be so good because this is a great point to end because this is exactly what we're going to go into next week. Fullness and living from fullness and giving from fullness. Make sense? I want to talk to you so much more, but I want you to go because I want you to go live your life and fucking receive. Receive. Also, we're going to give, of course, but this week, my dare to you between now and next week, this week and next week, is how can you receive a little bit more from yourself? How can you gift yourself a little bit more? How can you take it in? How can you receive goodness from yourself and from others? And again, this could be a gift. It could be a compliment. It could also just be like receiving good vibes. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's not as transactionary. Sometimes it's not as transactional as here's a gift. You say thank you. Sometimes it's, ooh, I'm in these vibes and I'm going to receive these vibes. Like it could be a gift, it could be a compliment, but like here I am right here, right now. Ooh, I'm going to receive this moment. I'm going to be present in this moment. Yeah, we got to do a part 2 on receiving because I got so much more to say. But home play is between now and next week. I want you to lean into your receiving. And think about for the next week, receiving. Maybe you want to find, and if you need some resources, I'm here, find a meditation or two on receiving. Maybe you want to play with a friend on the compliment exercise or the word bath exercise. Maybe you want to give yourself more compliments. I just want us for the next week to really think about, where in my life am I stopping receiving? Where does that happen? And where can I receive more? Again, it could be a gift, but it also could be, oh my gosh, I'm jamming right now. I love this vibe. How can I be more present? How can I receive this vibe more? How can I be more present and include all of the 5 senses to really receive and be present to this experience? So holy shit, we have more to talk about. But I think this is a good start. I think you get where I'm going with this. So you know the deal. You got to tune in back next week because we're going to talk about giving from a healthy place. And so excited. So before we hop, I lied. I'm going to have you take a deep breath. If you want to put a hand on your heart, I'm going to have you breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I know you're going to be like, Erica. But I want you to feel that I genuinely support you. I genuinely love you. I'm here to cheer you on. You got this. You are brave. You are brilliant. And if you start to dissociate, it's okay. Just want you to take a deep breath again. You're worthy. You're deserving. And you are loved. I just want you to breathe that in. I know there's probably an impulse of like, next podcast. Let me ignore this. But I want you to breathe in my love, my support, my encouragement for you. And let's take that energy forward into next week and receiving all the goodness because you're fucking worthy and deserving of it. I love you. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode and on this podcast journey. And if you loved what we talked about today and you know another human who could definitely benefit from what was discussed, I would so appreciate if you would go ahead and share this podcast with them. Don't forget, hit subscribe or follow so you never ever miss an episode. And the great news is you can always follow me, my work, my blog, my podcast on my website at www.wethelight.org. And hey, remember, life is so much brighter when we shine. I'll see you next time.